Jack Harlan's gavel-cracked voice sliced the dusty air of the rural Oklahoma auction yard. $1! Heads turned. The auctioneer paused, squinting at the grizzled veteran in faded fatigues, then shrugged. Sold. For $1, Jack owned the mangled husk of an old military helicopter. Its rotors twisted like forgotten promises, frames scarred from decades of service. He'd spotted it towed in at dawn, a relic from some forgotten base closure, listed as scrap. Jack knew rotors from his tours, 20 years in the army, piloting birds like this over dusty horizons. Now, at 52, with a creaky knee and a bank account echoing empty, it was his. He hooked his rusted Ford to the trailer, muscles straining as he dragged the beast to his 10-acre spread outside Tulsa. Dust devils swirled in the July heat, the kind that baked secrets into the earth. If you're hooked already, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Let's build this community together. Sweat stung his eyes as he circled the chopper that first evening, cicadas humming a relentless chorus. No keys, no papers beyond the auction tag, just a gut pull, the kind that had saved him mid-flight once. He pried open the cockpit canopy with a crowbar, metal groaning in protest. Inside, gauges frozen in time, seats frayed to threads. But beneath the pilot's floorboard, a seam caught his flashlight beam, loose, unnatural. Jack's pulse quickened. He wedged the bar deeper. It gave. A compartment yawned open, black as midnight. He reached in blind, gears brushing cold, unyielding weight. He pulled out the first bar, heavy, inscribed faintly. 99, 9% pure, silver. His breath caught. Not just one, dozens, stacked like forgotten treasure. He hauled 3 into the fading light, stacking them on the tail boom. Each gleamed under the truck's headlights. Heavier than his rucksack from Kandahar. Word spread fast in a town like this. By morning, neighbors idled pickups at his fence line, murmuring. Jack hit the jackpot, one whispered. But Jack locked the gate, paced his porch with a lukewarm beer. This wasn't windfall joy, it was a magnet. Who'd hidden this? Black market haulers, rogue officers skimming shipments. The bars bore no marks tying them to anything legit, but their shine screamed value, hundreds of millions if assays held. He drove to a discreet assayer in Oklahoma City that afternoon, 2 bars wrapped in tarps. The old-timer's eyes widened behind thick lenses. Son, this is hallmarked reary stock, pre-2008 crash vintage. Street value, per kilo, $800 easy. Yours. Call it $412 million, give or take melt fees. Jack gripped the counter, world tilting, enough to erase debts, buy back his dignity. But the man's next words froze him. Heard whispers of these vanishing years back. Helicopters scrapped quiet, folks asking questions. Back home, dusk painted the chopper's silhouette ominous. Jack chained the compartment shut, padlock clicking like a warning. Sleep evaded him that night, wind rattling the trailer house, footsteps, imagination, or shadows circling. He checked the bars at midnight, flashlight trembling, all there. But dawn brought tire tracks in the dew, fresh, looping his property line. Deputy Harlan, his cousin Ray, pulled up at noon, cruiser crunching gravel. Heard you bought junk, Jack. Folks saying otherwise. IRS'll want a peek. Ray's eyes flicked to the chopper, casual but probing. Jack waved him off. Just scrap, Ray. Melting it for fence posts. Lie tasted bitter. Ray lingered, then drove away slow. Tensions coiled tighter that week. Jack hired a welder buddy, Tom, to reinforce the hull under cover of night. Sparks flew, illuminating stacks that could rewrite lives. Tom whistled low. This buys islands, man. Or trouble. Jack nodded, jaw set. He'd seen greed turn brothers feral overseas. Here it could devour him whole. Offers trickled in, anonymously at first. Envelopes under wipers, name your price, walk away clean. Then calls from numbers that hung up. Jack's veteran instincts screamed evasion. He buried a few bars under the barn floor. Loose soil hiding the fortune's edge. Paranoia? Or prescience? One stormy Friday, thunder rumbling like incoming rotors, headlights pierced the downpour, two suits in a black SUV, badges flashing federal. Jack met them at the door, rain sheeting off his hat. "Mr. Harlan, we need to talk about your recent purchase." Lightning cracked. The real holdout had just begun. Jack stepped aside, letting the two agents into the dim hangar. Rain hammered the tin roof like distant gunfire. Agent Reyes, sharp-eyed with a clipboard, scanned the shadows where the helicopter hulked like a wounded beast. Her partner, bulky Agent Klein, loomed behind, eyes locked on Jack's face. "Sit down, Mr. Harlan," Reyes said, voice level but edged. She pulled a folding chair from the corner, the screech echoing. Jack eased onto a crate instead, arms crossed. "No games. Not yet. We tracked the auction records. That Sikorsky you bought for $1. Government surplus, decommissioned years ago. Manifest showed it empty, but our flyover spotted anomalies, heavy ones. Klein paced, boots thudding wet prints. Lightning flickered through cracked windows, painting their faces ghost white. Jack's jaw tightened. He'd pried open the fuselage panels himself 2 days back. Stacks upon stacks, silver bars gleaming cold under his flashlight. 412 million, he'd calculated later, cross-checking weights online. Enough to rewrite his life, but whose was it? No markings, no provenance, just questions piling like storm clouds. "You opened it," Reyes pressed, not a question. "Found something valuable. We're here to secure it under federal forfeiture. Unclaimed assets from a crash-landed op, long buried in red tape." Jack leaned forward. "It's mine. Bought fair at auction. No liens filed." Klein snorted. "Auction was for scrap. You knew it was more. Veteran perks don't cover treasure hunts." The word stung. Jack's service medals hung forgotten in his trailer, ghosts of deserts and patrols. 20 years in, discharged with a bad knee and worse dreams. Now this windfall, a lifeline snatched from junk. But feds didn't bluff. They'd impound, dissect, claim it all as national interest. Reyes flipped her clipboard. Serial numbers traced to a black-budget transport, vanished off radar in '98. Payload manifests sealed. You move those bars, you're looking at laundering probes, or worse. Thunder rolled, shaking the walls. Jack's mind raced. Sell quiet. Offshore whispers from old army buddies? No. Too hot. Hide them deeper? The hangar floor vibrated under his boots, perfect for a hasty vault. But feds had dogs, scanners. "Tell you what," Jack said, voice steady. "Give me 24 hours. Proof of purchase, clean title search. I'll lawyer up." Klein laughed low. "Clock's ticking now." They left him with a warrant stub, taillights cutting through the downpour. Jack bolted the door, breath fogging. He dragged a tarp over the chopper, heart pounding like rotors. First light, he'd call Elena, his ex, sharp as a blade, paralegal in the city. She owed him. Or did she? Dawn broke grey, coffee bitter in his thermos. Elena arrived in a rust-bucket sedan, tires spitting mud. "Jack, this is insane," she muttered, hugging files to her chest. Wind whipped her hair. "Feds don't knock polite. That Silver's a ghost, tied to ops nobody admits." They poured over auction docks by lantern light. Loopholes flickered, surplus sold as is. No inspections mandated. But manifests lied. Someone scrubbed records. A drone hummed overhead. Federal eyes. Jack's pulse spiked. "We bury it. Temporary." Elena shook her head. "Dig too deep. You vanish like the bar's owners." Hours blurred. Shovels bit earth behind the hangar. Bars transferred in duffels, sweat mixing with drizzle. 4 tons, muscle-burning loads. Jack's knee screamed, but he pushed. Elena scouted, phone jammed with signals. By noon, ground swallowed the horde. Surface smoothed, innocent dirt. But vibrations hummed. Another SUV. No. A pickup rattled up. Harlan's neighbor, grizzled Tom, waving a thermos. "Heard choppers last night. Feds? Need backup." Jack waved him off. "Trust no one. Tom shrugged, drove away. Elena packed her files. Fight smart. File counterclaim tomorrow. But Jack, this draws sharks. She left, alone. Jack stared at the fresh earth. Silver slumbered below, a fortune forged in secrecy. Feds would return, presses would swarm. His holdout? A razor-wire gamble. Night fell again, stars punching through clouds. Jack sat shotgun vigil, rifle across knees. Legal, unloaded. Headlights pierced the dark. Not black SUVs. A news van, logo blazing, leaks already. He killed the lights, melted into shadows. The real siege tightened. If you're gripped by Jack's standoff, smash that like button, subscribe for the twists ahead, share this with a friend, and drop in comments where you're watching from. Phone buzzed. Unknown number. Harlan, we know what you found. Name your price. Not feds, deeper players. The bars whispered secrets, pulling strings from the grave. Jack's jeer hovered. Answer, or let it ring into the storm. Jack's jeer trembled above the screen, rain lashing the windshield like frantic Morse code. The phone vibrated again, insistent, the caller's number cloaked in shadows. No ID, just a void. Harlan smashed the power button, silencing it mid-buzz. He exhaled, breath fogging the glass, and gripped the wheel tighter. The old Chevy pickup fishtailed on the slick Nevada back road, mud sucking at the tires as thunder cracked overhead. He'd hauled the silver from the helicopter's belly hours ago, crate by unmarked crate, stacking them in the barn behind his run-down ranch outside Reno. 40 tons of the stuff, gleaming under his flashlight like buried lightning. Auctioned off for $1 at the surplus yard. Wreckage from some classified crash decades back, paperwork said. But this was no pilot's emergency stash. Engravings on the bars hinted at Cold War ghosts, serial numbers matching whispers from old Black Ops ledgers he'd Googled in a panic. Headlights pierced the downpour, 2 beams slicing from behind. Not a cop cruiser, too sleek, too low. Harlan floored it, the engine roaring like a wounded beast. The pursuer matched pace, closing the gap with predatory grace. His mind raced. Who were they? Cartel remnants? Shadowy collectors? The voice on the phone had been calm, accented faintly Eastern European, promising a deal too smooth to trust. Harlan swerved onto a dirt spur, branches whipping the sides, buying seconds. The barn loomed ahead, a silhouette against the lightning-veined sky. He killed the lights, skidded to a halt, and bolted inside, keying the padlock with shaking hands. The bars waited, stacked like monolithic bricks, their weight a fortune that could rewrite his life or end it. Vietnam vet, pension barely covering meds and memories, now this windfall taunting him. But greed had teeth. He'd seen buddies vanish chasing mirages in the jungle. Phone buzzed anew inside his jacket. He yanked it out, screen glowing. Unknown. A text this time. We see you, Harlan. Coordinates sent, midnight. Or the feds get tipped, with your prints on every bar. Attached map pinpointed his exact barn. Harlan's gut twisted. How? Drones. Trackers in the chopper husk. He pocketed the phone and dragged a tarp over the horde, then fetched the shotgun from the rafters, rusted but loaded. Outside, engines growled closer. 2 vehicles now crunching gravel. Harlan peered through a crack in the boards. Black SUVs, tinted windows, 4 figures emerging, rain sheeting off tactical gear. No badges. They fanned out, methodical, one barking low orders in a language that wasn't Spanish. Russian? Harlan's pulse hammered. He chambered around, the click echoing like judgment. Hey, if this tale's got you on the edge of your seat, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, share with a friend, and comment below where you're watching from. Let's build this community. The leader approached the barn door, flashlight beam dancing. Harlan, we talk! No trouble! Accent confirmed it, deep, gravelly. Harlan stayed silent, back to the wall, shotgun leveled. Seconds stretched. A boot nudged the door. Harlan's jeer whitened on the trigger. But shooting first? That painted him cornered prey. Instead, he whispered into his own phone, dialing the local sheriff, a guy he'd fished with once. Voicemail. Damn. The door rattled. Lock straining. Harlan scanned for exits. Loft ladder, maybe. He climbed slow, boards creaking under his weight, silver glinting below like a siren's horde. Floodlights hit the barn suddenly, blinding through slits. "Come out, old man. Price is fair. 10 million wired tonight." Lies. Harlan knew the math. They'd lowball, then bury him in the desert. Memories flashed. Nam choppers down. Payloads vanishing into fog. This haul tied to that era, smuggled fortunes from downed birds. A window shattered downstairs, glass spraying, figures breached. Harlan crouched in the loft, heart slamming ribs. Footsteps below, murmurs. One climbed the ladder, silhouette rising. Harlan swung the shotgun butt, connecting with a skull-crunching thud. The man tumbled, groaning, alerting the rest. Chaos erupted. Shouts, boots thundering. Harlan vaulted the loft edge, crashing onto crates, pain lancing his knee. He fired wild into the dark, muzzle flash, strobing faces. Return fire splintered wood inches away. He rolled behind the silver wall, bars shielding him like improvised armor. The leader yelled, "Enough! We take it all!" But Harlan wasn't done. He grabbed a bar, heavy, cold, and hurled it down the ladder, toppling another intruder. Storm raged outside, masking the frenzy. Sirens wailed distant, sheriff ally calling back, or more hunters. Harlan burst through a side door into the torrent, sprinting for the truck, keys fumbling, engine coughing to life. Tires spun mud as bullets pinged the tailgate. He peeled out, rear view showing the barn ablaze. Molotovs. Silver melting in the inferno? Miles blurred, adrenaline crashing. Phone lit up again. New number. You run, we chase, but the hold's insured. Yours now. Harlan crushed the device under his boot, fragments scattering. Dawn crept over the Sierras, painting the horizon bloody. The fortune burned, but secrets survived in his veins now. What next? Claim ashes as proof? Or vanish? A ghost with nothing but scars. The road unspooled, endless. If you're hooked, hit subscribe, like, share this story, and comment your guess. What's Harlan's play? Harlan gripped the wheel tighter, knuckles whitening against the cracked leather. The desert highway stretched like a vein through Nevada's barren heart, tumbleweeds skittering across his path like fleeing secrets. Ashes from the helicopter's husk still dusted his boots, a gritty reminder of the pyre he'd lit under the stars. 412 million in silver bars, stacked neat in the truck bed under tarps, hummed with impossible weight. One wrong turn, and it all crumbled. He pulled off at a ghost town diner, neon sign flickering, "Eat," in the dusk. Inside, the air hung thick with grease and regret. Harlan slid into a booth, ordering black coffee that tasted like regret. The waitress, mid-40s with eyes like faded denim, eyed his scarred hands. "Rough night?" she asked, pouring slow. "Rough life," he muttered, scanning the lot through grease-streaked windows. No tails, yet. The auction had been a fluke, government surplus, that chopper listed as junk for $1. He'd spotted the anomaly in the hold during inspection. False panels, bars gleaming like buried treasure. Cartel stash? Black market haul? Didn't matter. He'd pried them free, torched the evidence. Now, the dilemma gnawed deeper than shrapnel ever had. If you're gripped by Harlan's gamble, smash that subscribe button like this video, share with a friend who's chasing their own hidden fortunes, and drop a comment. Where are you watching from tonight? The door chime jolted him. 2 men entered, boots heavy on warped linoleum. Suits too crisp for this nowhere spot. Harlan's pulse quickened. Feds? Or worse, owners of the silver? They took stools at the counter, voices low, glancing his way. He slipped cash under the saucer, eased out the back. Truck roared to life, gravel spitting as he peeled away. Night fell hard, stars pricking the void like accusations. Harlan veered onto a dirt track, winding toward an abandoned mine his unit had used for drills back in '09. Safe house of sorts, forgotten by maps. There, under moonlight slicing through rusted beams, he unloaded the bars. Each one thudded like a heartbeat, stacking into a fortress of gleam. 412 million, enough to vanish, by silence, rewrite scars into stories. But dawn brought the chopper's echo in his mind, the whoomp-whoomp of rotors he'd silenced forever. A radio crackled in his pack, tuned to shortwave. Static, then a voice. Repeat, asset located, coordinates match, surplus auction. Harlan froze. How? The ashes? No, he'd scattered them wide. Then it hit, the auction tag, his prints, the $1 bill still in his wallet. He smashed the radio, shards scattering, paranoia coiled tight. Drive north, melt the silver slow. Fences in Reno whispered deals, but trust was a luxury vets like him couldn't afford. Or bury it here, claim veteran benefits, live lean till the heat faded. Complex man Harlan, 20 years in sandpits. Buddies lost to shadows. Now this windfall tempting every demon. Headlights pierced the dark, 2 vehicles kicking dust. Harlan ducked behind crates, breath shallow, doors slammed. Footsteps crunched. 4 men, armed silhouettes. "Harlan Reeves!" one barked, voice gravelly. "We know what you took. Walk out clean or we dig you up with it." Sweat beaded despite the chill. How'd they track so fast? The waitress? No. The auction clerk may be bought off. He gripped a rusted pipe, mind-racing plays. Extort them back, claim the ashes prove nothing, or ghost out the rear shaft, silver sacrificed. They fanned out, beams sweeping. Harlan moved silent, veteran instincts sharp. 1 bar, 50 pounds, heaved it at the nearest thudding flesh. Grunt of surprise, chaos erupted. Shots cracked, ricocheting wild. He bolted for the truck, engine snarling alive. Bars rattled as he floored it, dust plume masking escape. The chase ignited. Headlights glued to his bumper, bullets pinging metal. Harlan swerved blind through arroyos, heart slamming. 20 miles of hell, then he hit pavement, losing them in a canyon twist. Breath ragged. He punched south toward Mexico whispers. Fences there melted silver quiet, but as first light bled gold over mesas, doubt crept. Was it worth the ghosts piling higher? The bars, now half spilled, mocked him. Veteran luck, always 1 step from the edge. He slowed at an overlook, wind whipping. Decision loomed, raw and real. Keep running, or turn, face the hunt with proof in hand. Pull over if this twist has you locked in. Subscribe for the ale, like if Harlan's your kind of rogue. Share the suspense, comment your call, fight or fade. Harlan gripped the chopper's cyclic like it was the last thread of his old life, engine whining against the Nevada dusk. Fight or fade. The shadow in the rear view, that black SUV with tinted glass, had tailed him from the scrap auction yard for 30 miles now. No plates visible, just relentless push. His knuckles whitened. Fight it was. He banked hard left over the dusty flats, rotors slicing the hot wind. The hold secret weighed heavy in the back. Stacks of silver bars gleaming under his flashlight earlier, stamped with faded cartel markings from some forgotten 80s smuggling run. 412 million, appraised on the sly by a Reno contact. Bought for $1 at sheriff's auction. Wreckage from a crash-landed bird, logged as junk. But junk didn't hide fortunes. The SUV surged closer, headlights piercing like accusations. Harlan's mind raced through decades. Tours in the Gulf, lost buddies, the bottle that nearly claimed him post-discharge, this haul, redemption or ruin. He thumbed the radio, patching to his lawyer buddy, voice steady. "Ricky, it's live. Coordinates incoming, titles clean, auction docs prove it. Get the feds looped before these shadows turn feral." Static crackled. "Harlan, you mad dog. That's narco silver. Feds'll seize half, IRS the rest. Walk away clean." "No walking." He punched send on the GPS ping, then yanked the collective. The chopper lurched skyward, a rattling phoenix from the scrap heap. Below, the SUV fishtailed, peeling off into scrub as sirens wailed distant state troopers, right on cue from Ricky's pull. Dust devils swirled as Harlan sat down on a mesa overlook, heart pounding like rotor blades. Minutes stretched eternal. Headlights converged. 2 cruisers, an unmarked Fed sedan. Agents spilled out, badges glinting, rifles low but ready. The lead, a grizzled type named Voss, approached slow, eyes on the open hold. Veteran Harlan Crow, auction win on that UH-1H Huey variant. We got the call. Mind if we peek? Harlan stepped out, hands visible. Auction receipt flapping in the breeze like a white flag of victory. All yours, bought legal, title transferred. Whatever story these bars tell, it's mine now. Voss scanned the stacks, Whistler low. Cold War relic, smugglers ditched it mid-flight. Crashed in '89, ownerless for decades. Bureaus claim forfeiture on abandoned goods. He paused, eyeing Harlan's service pins. But auction severs that. Clean buy. Yours, soldier. No raid, no shadows winning. Just paperwork shuffling under starlight, bars crated for secure transport. Harlan watched them load up, the weight of 40 years lifting, not all at once, but enough. Dawn broke gold over the Sierras as he signed the AL release in a Vegas warehouse, lawyers haggling the tax bite down to survivable. 200 million net after Uncle Sam's cut and charity trusts for vets' homes. His call, no fanfare. The rest, invested quiet. Land in Montana, a machine shop for rebuilding wrecks like his. Pull over if Harlan's grit hooked you deep. Subscribe for more rogue tales like this, like if you'd fight for the Hold's secret. Share the rush. Comment from where you're watching this channel unfold. Months later, Harlan nursed black coffee at a roadside diner, chopper rebuilt and humming in a private hangar. The shadows, traced to a collector syndicate, spooked off by Fed heat. No loose ends. He traced a scar on his palm from '91, smiled faint. Fortune found him, but he claimed it, raw, earned, no handouts. The waitress refilled his mug. You look like a man who beat the odds, mister. Every damn day, he said, tipping his cap. Outside, the desert stretched endless, silver linings in every horizon. Harlan Crow, junkyard king, flew on.